draft directly on your fabric if you want to, but I will be drafting on the pattern paper for the purpose of this tutorial. The first thing I'm going to go ahead and do is to draw a straight line across this top here. This is going to serve as our starting line. My paper is in a fold, as you can see, so this is the same way you will fold in your fabric if you are cutting directly on your fabric. Now the next line I'm going to be drawing is going to be the bicep line. So from this line I already drew at the top. I am going to be coming down by 4.5 inches. You can also use 5 inches for this part as well. It works also, but I'll be using 4.5 inches. This is going to be the height of our sleeve cap, so 4.5 inches actually works perfectly. So I'll mark 4.5 inches here, and I'm going to use this to draw another line across as well. Because this is a short sleeve, the next line I'm going to be having is going to be the length of my sleeve. So I have decided to mark this at 8 inches. This is totally depending on how long you want your short sleeve to be. It could be 10 inches, it could be 12 inches, but let's just mark this at 8 inches. Now I have the starting line, the bicep, and the ending. That's like the end of the sleeve. So now the next thing I'm going to go ahead and do is to come to the top of this starting line here. From the middle, I'm coming in by 4 inches. So I just made a point here, as you can see, and now we'll come down to the bicep line. Now the measurement around your bicep, divide it into 2. Mine divided into 2 is 5.5 because the measurement around my bicep is 11. But now I want to add extra 1.5 inch to this for stitching allowance, so I just added it and made a mark here. So we're going to be having a curve leading to this point like this. Now from this top point we made earlier, remember it was 4 inches. I am going to just take a measurement straight all the way to the bicep line, and I'm going to divide whatever measurement I have into 2 equal halves. So I just made a point here. So just go ahead and make a point here. And now the next thing I'm going to do is to connect a curve to meet this point like this, and from here I'll connect a point looking downwards. Let me just show you guys how to go about it. So I'm going to be arranging my curve in this manner to come all the way from the top to meet the first point, the point in the middle. So curve your French curve like this for the first curve. Now from this point, curve your French curve in this other manner, making sure that the French curve, the curve is going down, and then use it to make another curve to meet that point as well. So just smoothing up the areas where they met, and you can see that you have a very nice curve here. So that's basically how to go about the curve. Now for the round sleeve, the round arm measurement, what I have there for myself is 10 inches. Half of 10 inches is 5, but I'm also adding extra 1.5 inch for stitching allowance like I did earlier. And now I'll join from here to this point, and of course use my marker to join this point. So this is basically all for the drafting of my basic short sleeve. Now I'm going to measure to be sure that my round armhole measurement is here. So my round armhole measurement is 15, and half of that is 7.5. So you can see where I have 7.5 here. So this excess here is the stitching allowances that I gave it earlier. So you can see how it looks like right now. So let's just go ahead and cut this out. Please do not forget that this sleeve is in a fold. Now this is what the short sleeve pattern looks like. You can see how nice the curve looks. Now we're going to go ahead and also draft out the long sleeve pattern using the same method. I've already drawn a straight line across my pattern paper again, and remember to fold into two. My pattern paper is folded into two here again. Now from the starting line, I'm coming down to 4.5 inches, just like I did on the first pattern we drafted. This is just me repeating myself. Like I said before, you can use 5 inches here if you want to. So I'm going to draw this line across. This is our bicep. You guys, just in case you didn't get it when I was explaining earlier. Now after this line, the next thing I'm going to do is from the starting line. Now we are going to measure from the shoulder down to my elbow, and what I have is 12 inches. So you need to take your elbow measurement here because this is a long sleeve. So I'm drawing another straight line across. Now from the top again, I'm going to come down by the length I want this long sleeve to be, and I'm marking this at 22 inches. I'll also draw a straight line across. These are just like the basic things that differentiates the long sleeve from the short sleeve. Now for the cap area, it's going to be the same thing. On the bicep line, I am going to divide the measurement around my bicep into two, and my measurement is 11. When I divide it into two, it gives me 5.5. But again, we'll be adding that 1.5 inch stitching allowance. So go ahead and do the same thing, even if you are drafting on your actual fabric. Now on this starting line here, from the middle coming by 4 inches, this was exactly the same thing we did earlier. Now from this point, we are going to measure from the starting line to the bicep. Try as much as possible to keep your tape straight and just divide what you have in between into 2 equal halves and just make a point here. Now if you didn't get this earlier when I was explaining before, please try as much as possible to just pay attention now. Now from this center here, we are going to curve to meet this point here in the middle like this, and now the second point will be going downwards. So now I'm going to place my French curve. Make sure that you place it properly. Make sure that the curve is not too much, like the way you are seeing this one right now. This is too much. Now try as much as possible to just curve it nicely like this and go ahead and draw your line across. This is actually something you can do with freehand if you do not have a curve. Okay, this is something you can totally do with your freehand. I do this a lot with my freehand, guys. Now from this point, we are going to be turning our French curve towards the other direction. You can see how I'm doing it, and I'm going to draw a line at like this. It's going to be a curve to meet the other points. If you do this properly, you are going to have a very nice curve, just like what I have here. Now the next thing we're going to do, this is very easy. This is the bicep line, and again, if you decide to go ahead and measure, which is your round arm measurement, mine is 15, and 15 divided by 2 is 7.5. It is right here. So this extra is my stitching allowance. Okay, the stitching allowance we added earlier. On the elbow line here, the measurement around my elbow is 9 inches, and half of that is 4.5. Okay, now I'm adding extra 1.5 inch to that because of course we're adding stitching allowances to the side. So from this point, I'm marking down to meet the elbow. Now for the round sleeve, around the end of my sleeve, what I have here is 7 inches, and half of that is 3.5. I will still add the same 1.5 inch stitching allowances that I've been adding earlier and make a point. Now I'll just connect this point to meet the elbow. Now I'll use my marker to just trace out this end, and this is basically all for the drafting of the long sleeve pattern. The difference between the long sleeve and the short sleeve is just 2 extra lines. Okay, so I'm just going ahead now to cut out the long sleeve, and I will show you guys the 2 patterns. So this is the long sleeve, as you can see, and this right here is the short sleeve pattern. Remember that we folded our patterns earlier, so by the time you open up your pattern, you see what it looks like, and I've already gone ahead to label them short and long, so you can see what it looks like. So guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you find it helpful, and I'll be seeing you guys in my next one.